Partire dalla storia per ripensare il futuro. Capire da dove arriviamo per rigenerare il legame tra cultura, civiltà e architettura. Quello posto da Rem Koolhaas, curatore della Biennale d'Architettura 2014, a tutti i curatori, non è un obiettivo, ma un work in progress. Nasce così una mostra che non è rappresentazione, bensì ricerca. In questo contesto si inserisce il primo weekend special Friday in Venice, coordinato da Michael Schindhelm nelle giornate dell'1 e 2 agosto presso le corderie dell'Arsenale.
So Friday in Venice is a transmedia story. The title Friday has actually two meanings. On the one hand, we are part of the weekend special program of Monditalia, and a weekend, in our case at least, starts always on Friday. So we are always on Friday in Venice. The other reason is that Friday is also the name of a resident of a fictional island I have invented, and which is located virtually somewhere in the Mediterranean, and is considered a kind of laboratory for social improvement, for new ideas on how to rethink our society.
Friday, che nella realtà è un attore, è partito da Strasburgo e sta viaggiando in Europa tenendo un diario online sulla sua esperienza. Arriverà a Venezia nel weekend dell'8-9 agosto, in un contesto europeo particolarmente fragile e segnato da un crescente impulso verso i particolarismi, e nel centenario dall'inizio della Prima Guerra Mondiale, Friday in Venice si trova dunque a riflettere a tutto tondo su un'altra Europa possibile.
The only real drama of Europe right now is the clumsiness of the kind of relationship between individual governments and Europe as a whole. I think that creates, kind of on the level of individual governments, a kind of constant barrage of denigration of the European idea that kind of simply undermines the achievement of Europe.
So Friday in Venice is also a project asking the participants of the Biennale, and many of them are our guests in the discussions and performances we will have over the next weekends. We ask them, what are your findings and what does it tell us about the future of our society in Italy but also in Europe?
Nel corso del convegno Europe's Edges, How We Become What We Are, molte le voci che hanno contribuito al dibattito sull'Europa, architetti ma anche curatori d'arte, fotografi e lo stesso direttore della mostra.
Imagine that you are somebody as us. What's the future of Europe? And then my answer would be to forget about it.
Ricca di stimoli l'apertura di Chus Martinez, protagonista del primo intervento, che propone di allontanarsi dal concetto geografico e politico di Europa per poterla ripensare altrimenti.
Friday is traveling through Europe, and you wonder why, because Europe is considered by many people today in Europe but also elsewhere as an exhausted continent with a lot of piling up problems which seem to be unresolvable. However, the crisis always also includes the possibility of a change.
Sul concetto del cambiamento avviato da una crisi si è inserito l'intervento di Michael Aggistillis, che con l'efficace metafora della carta da parati ha spiegato la condizione di dilemma in cui si trova la sua isola, Cipro, tra eurocentrismo ed egocentrismo.
Once ideologies fade and undeniable truths are proven as false, there is this moment, this turning moment and point in the history of a nation or a country, that the history of their past, it could be reconstructed. And this is the opportunity that crisis could initiate.
Friday in Venice si inserisce in Monditalia, che vede artisti da tutti i settori della Biennale di Venezia raccogliersi intorno ad un tema, l'Italia, svolgendolo nelle più diverse forme.
There is indeed a kind of connection between our project and Monditalia in particular, because on the one hand, Monditalia is a retrospective about post-war Italy's development, most often a kind of sad story about a decline. On the other hand, it shows an enormous optimism in its expressions.
The project is, of course, multidisciplinary. We mobilize all the other departments of the Biennales in order to portray a comprehensive description of the country. What we think was really important as a statement also about Italy was to turn an exhibition space into something productive.
Così la mostra si fa eterotopia della realtà, rappresentandola negli sviluppi storici ma in prospettiva rispetto ai futuri cambiamenti che si troverà ad affrontare.
And in one or the other way, any form of an exhibition is always a heterotopia of something real. So Monditalia in many ways is a heterotopia to the real Italy of today and of the last 50 years.
Tra chi ha indagato l'Italia degli ultimi 50 anni all'interno del suo progetto Night Swimming c'è la fotografa Giovanna Silva, che ha tracciato la storia delle discoteche italiane dagli anni 60 ad oggi come fenomeno sociale ed antropologico.
What surprised me the most of these places is that until the mid-90s they were hosting performance. And then, during the 90s in Italy, we imported phenomenon as the gabber from Netherlands and as the rave from UK. And at that moment, it was sort of normal to go into 2 or 3 clubs in one night, even in different cities, even if they have to cross country.
Il progetto Italian Limes di Marco Ferrari porta invece in risalto i confini come concetto sì geografico ma anche immateriale, con una ricerca sul rapporto tra la variabilità naturale dei confini italiani sulle Alpi e la precisione imposta dalla moderna tecnologia.
We were interested in understanding how borders nowadays are shaped, so how a border can be defined as a particular set of conditions which are at the same time a material set of conditions because the borders somehow are traced upon a territory, so there's something physical you can touch and see and experience, but also they're very material devices.
Tecnologia ma anche spiritualità nell'Italia raccontata nella Biennale Internazionale dell'Architettura. Il fotografo americano di origine iraniana Ramak Fazel nel suo progetto Business of People rappresenta fotograficamente in un'installazione che prende le forme di una via crucis l'anima religiosa della produzione industriale nel nostro paese, confrontandola con la visione del lavoro statunitense.
One of the very first article in the Italian Constitution states that Italy is a democratic republic founded on work. In the United States, in our Bill of Rights, we have the pursuit of happiness as a doctrine. So there's this contrast between happiness and work that I see between the US and Italy.
Al termine del convegno, tutti i partecipanti si sono confrontati in una tavola rotonda sull'Europa possibile. Come ha sottolineato Colas, lo sforzo profuso nel corso di Fundamentals per valutare il passato rappresenta un importante contributo per creare un nuovo entusiasmo nei confronti dell'Europa.
We are living in an incredibly complex moment with memories that are very superficial, with opinions that are very generic, and with insights that are in many cases inherited from very flat ways of thinking. That for that reason, it seemed to me a very significant effort for the Biennale as a whole, but particularly for all the 66 countries that are involved now, to somehow reconsider their last 100 years.
In many ways, he is seen also as somebody who is always a little bit in front of at least the mainstream. So you can say also the vanguard, a member of a vanguard. But what he is doing here, and this probably has confused also some people, he's actually doing the opposite. And this is also something what Rem likes to do from time to time. He somehow plays with expectations to maybe also sometimes disappoint expectations, surprise people. And this is what happened here to some extent because he was rather forcing himself and others to looking back instead of looking forward, what he was usually doing.